Hey Libra, this is your intuitive tarot reading for June 2025 Gemini season. I'm Susan and I'm your intuitive, and I will be reading your tarot cards for love and money. So love is going to go first, and already the cards are talking to you. King of Cups and the Five of Wands. Oops, sorry about that. Okay. So this ability or this opportunity, this time now to really understand and take care of some things that internally that used to, even just a week ago, cause you to be triggered externally. And that's the process. The process is to learn to deal with your triggers. Of course, it's feeling safe. So whoever brings them out in you, you're either feeling safe, they make you feel safe to feel that trigger. That doesn't always happen, right? But there's something inside of you that feels safe enough to be exposed to whatever that is. And if you've been triggered in love, whether you're in a relationship or you're single and you're out there, or you're whatever kind of relationship, situationship you're in, your relationship with the people in your life, you're learning to manage your emotions. Not just manage your emotions, you're learning to take care of your emotions. You're learning to take care of what wasn't being tended to before you were safe enough, before operating out of these dynamics. For Libra risings, a lot has just either gone through or entered your 7th house. So your one-on-one relationships, your partnerships, if you're in business, your legal, any legality in your life, if you have stuff going on with that, if you take clients, like whatever that is, you're starting to understand now where you've been overdoing it in certain areas of your life. And because for some of you, you've been preparing. You've been preparing to sit with this. And the way I'm going to describe it is how yoga is described. So traditionally, yoga, and as someone who's practiced for a long time, just not throwing things out there, yoga, the practice of asana, is meant to help you prepare for meditation. So it's working through whatever you need to work through with your ego on your mat, because there will be times when, and if you're someone who practices something consistently, you'll just take this in that way. You get on the mat and you do poses that you maybe have done before or you haven't done before, but it's the way that you approach yourself that day. From day to day, I'm someone has had experience with, my body feels different every day. From chronic pain to healing through that for a while. So if you're someone who relates to that, or if you're someone who relates to, I'm not even aware of my body's feeling every day until I move it in this way or that way. And maybe you're someone who does practice yoga, so you're consistently weaving in and out of poses. However, that can get repetitive, which is not a bad thing, right? However, needing to learn to move and be flexible in other ways is also important. This is all to say that approaching yourself every day, and actually for some of you, your movement time may be your emotional time. So really not allowing, letting go of stimulation, or it's meditation, whatever it is for you, or it's walking, right? Whatever, writing, whatever this is for you, it's time for you to feel where you're at that morning and give yourself whatever you need to feel safe enough to experience these triggers or whatever has been coming up through the shadows for you. For some of you, this has been also around the moon. And that would be exposing you to different beliefs that just maybe don't make sense for you anymore, that have been actually causing perhaps fights in your relationship, or short relationships. Like the communication just hasn't been there, or you've been needing to really see that shadow that is actually one of your greatest powers, your greatest gifts, what makes you you, a part of your purpose. And if you're someone who's thought about your purpose before, this time of healing, this time of understanding, this time of seeing what you need to see and addressing it is really solidifying that your shadow, the moon, your shadow, what you're seeing very clearly in the dark, and you will see again in a different way around the full moon on the 11th in Sagittarius. For Libra risings, that would be in your 3rd house of communication. So you may be exposing yourself to what it's like to live without this kind of control, perhaps, to be able to really sit with and regulate, maybe even have very productive conversations at this time that help, even if you've thought and spoken a different reality or thought you were going about things a certain way, when it comes back to your intimate relationship or your closest relationships, including the one with yourself, it's always something deeper, or it's been something deeper. And what you're being revealed to now, that whether you're being forced to rest or you're consistently needing more time than you think, your brain actually needs more rest. Your body needs more rest. Your body may be ready to move, but your brain, at some point, everything needs rest, and at some point your body is going to feel ready, but your mind is what you need to listen to. If things need to slow down a little, if you need to work a little less or do things a little differently, it's time to communicate that in your relationship. If you are needing alone time or needing to consistently address this, communicate to the person in your life or to the people in your life, like, I'm addressing something. I'm unaware of the time limit. It's not that anyone's expecting that from you. I just don't think they're going to expect it to be what it is, because they may not be. Some of you are used to a wild Libra, let's put it like that, but some people are not used to a Libra that is consistently moving in and out of their feelings. They're not. And that's what's different about Libras. That's actually to their benefit, especially with the intuition mentally and learning to honor certain moves and how that relates to them emotionally, and how that relates to connecting deeper to their intuition, connecting deeper to their intimate partner and in partnership, no matter what that looks like. Because the thing is that communication will just be easier, and you won't be confused, because there's been a lot of confusion within your health. For Libra risings, a lot's been in your 6th house. So health and relationships, health and work healthy relationship with work, to work, whatever that looks like, you're almost being perhaps given an extreme in your relationships where you don't realize how much alone time you need until you finally get around people, and you realize you used to be around people so much, and then there are times when you weren't, and now you're getting a time to like really actually integrate and realize that right now it's addressing this part of you that needs constant attention from yourself, instead of the attention you're giving to others. And even though it may not feel like hard for you, you don't know that until after. So perhaps, right? For some of you, you may not know until you go do the thing and you come back and you're like, I needed less time. It's being really decisive when saying, like, letting yourself pause when you're hanging out with someone and allowing yourself to actually tap into yourself. Am I tired? Do I actually need to move on now? Like, speaking these things clearly in a way where you're opening up the door for more flexibility with your time and your energy in relationships, even in your partnership. Like, what does your time together look like? If you're single and you're dating, what is that looking like for you right now? And how much time do you need to honor some commitments, clear up some things, and also give yourself some rest? If it's more difficult to give yourself time and rest, I would imagine that there is something vulnerable there. And in order to make that easier, you have to allow that and have it be you're the scales, and you need consistent practice, especially if it's something that you're uncomfortable with. And especially if it's going to be better for your life. I'm not saying get yourself in uncomfortable situations, because for no reason. No. If you're uncomfortable in like a negative reason, leave. But if it's discomfort with your vulnerability and communicating and being really honest, that is something that is worth exercising at this time, okay? Venus, your ruling planet, and then we'll get into money, is moving from your 7th house to your 8th house. And your 8th house is, for Libra risings, it's your mental health, which is huge. It's death, it's privacy, it's investments, it's how you make your money, whether you work for yourself or for someone else or with someone else, whatever that situation is. It's showing up to show you, being in Taurus, there's a lot of fruition that can come your way. So, and what I'm seeing even in the micro transits, not that Venus is a micro transit, but like there's so much transiting that within these, how I'm starting to see this is like each transit is preparing us, regardless of where it's in your chart. I like to see it like this. It's preparing us for what's coming next. It's preparing, so this Venus transit, whatever is happening right now up until the 6th, which is in about a week, you'll be reevaluating your emotional security within your relationship, and then it will come through money in this next area of your life, and you'll start to see like where you feel very secure, where there's grounding, where there's abundance, and what is no longer helpful to this version of your life, to this version of yourself, and you'll see what needs more healing, like where you need to spend your energy, where you need to spend your mental energy. Like, is it visualizing more? Is it dreaming more? Like, is there still a part of you that maybe is playing a little small? And Taurus comes in and is like, let's give voice to whatever's been holding you back. Like, let's give a voice. Let's give a voice to your connection with your higher power, with how you're communicating with that part of yourself and acting from that part of yourself, and just acknowledging any of the heavy shit that you've been moving through, because Jupiter's entering your 10th house, which is very fruitful. But Libra, you want to know, Libra rising especially, you want to know what you want to be responsible for. It's really important, and what's moving forward. And I'm sure that will come up, and we'll talk about it as we talk about money here, because we were just talking about relationships and your romantic relationships. So before we get into money, all information to work with me one-on-one is below. You can find my website, payment options, schedule link, and the Patreon, where you can get all of the extended, and this is in the first link, and it will go right to your email if you become a member. So take a look at that. And TikTok, Instagram, Venusian Wave. Same thing on everything. All right, Libra, let's get into money. I have a feeling it's the Lovers. Nope. 10 of Wands. you are done with something, laying something to rest, or realizing that you work too hard, or you need to ask for more money, or you're realizing that just because you're good at something, or just because something's come more naturally to you, or you've been valued for something specifically that, you know, isn't hard for you, doesn't mean that it's what you stick with. It doesn't mean that that's what you continue to do here. And we have this 3 of Wands at the bottom again. I might bring that up. I was going to say 3 of Hearts. 3 of Swords. It wouldn't even be 3 of Hearts. It wouldn't even be the 3 of Hearts in the deck of cards anyway. So, Judgment, the Knight of Cups, the Queen of Cups, lots of cups. Lots of emotional security and emotional healing right now. And just know that's helping heal your money, Libra. Okay, so looks like whatever you've realized about how your body feels or how exhausted you have felt, about how much energy you've given, you've realized it's this pattern that was developed in your mind. And it's not, again, talking about like the repetition, again, it's not like it's this one time you see it and you've addressed it and that's how I work. No, like that may work for certain things, but this is deeper issues, and deeper understandings of yourself require a little bit more attention, a little bit more thought, and maybe a lot more. And you're realizing that that is what has been required of you. It's become very clear through your emotional state that you've needed to take some time and make that very obvious to yourself. And also realize like you may need to slow down even if it feels uncomfortable. Because of this, you are then maybe offered opportunities. For some of you, offered a few opportunities that come your way, due to the pulling back, due to the slowing down, due to, for some of you, it's just letting go of control in your mind over things you can't control anyway, and it's finding a way to bring peace. She knows that the fruits are there. She trusts that the fruits are there. She is able to be aware of her emotions and not let them control her. At this time, the sun going through your 9th house for some of you. Either way, this is allowing you to see where you've been reactive internally. And this is the complexity of Libra, where you've been, and even other air signs, where you've been reactive internally. And it's caused you to react externally in a completely different way. And you've had to break that down. I know it happens, but like you've begun to see this unraveling in your life, and you're giving a lot of opportunities that are being presented to you for you to stand on your emotional security, stand with yourself. And instead of responding in ways that you once did, you're able to now take a step back and wonder like, okay, what is this? You're able to, instead of giving a response out of perhaps you think it's excitement, sometimes it's desperation when you're not thinking, and there's instinct, but then there's sometimes it's reaction to, oh my God, what if I never get another opportunity to do this, right? And you think, okay, well then let me just add more, and that's not true, Libra. What's true is that it's that very popular and well said quote of like, what's for you will never miss you. Well, if this thing comes again, and luck says, you know, you don't want to miss it, but you can take it, and then you can choose to let it go. You can let it go, and maybe it re-chooses you, or something different, something more aligned with you, with where you're at. Maybe it's in a month, maybe it's in a week. There's divine intervention, especially for those of you who have been redirected This is very random and very acute. But if you've been redirected, like literally driving or being driven, there's been redirection multiple times, or detours externally, there's sometimes divine intervention. You don't know what you're missing. You don't know that if going the same way every time has actually put you in this path of complacency or content that actually is allowing you to not pay attention, using that like brilliant side of you to not pay attention to certain things so that you get distracted for some of you. And being distracted isn't terrible unless it like really hurts you, right? So upon discovering this pattern or this way that you've gone about working, the way that you've gone about treating your body or treating your energy and treating your creativity, you're realizing that it comes from this mental place, and you've had to really listen to yourself so you can really hear others, regardless if you know whatever it is that you know, or if you're right. It's not about that, Libra. Justice, your card that did not come out, or fairness is being fair to your emotions as well as, you know, your mind, and being if you think back in your life, Libra, I know we're talking about money, but it's your worth and where you've developed that. Think back in your life. If you can, if you have a moment, if you don't, pause for now. But think back in your life to a time where being right was more important than being loved and being cared for or being nurtured. Think back to a time when you just wanted love, but being honest or whoever was right was way more important. And then you bring it into other areas of life and people don't want to hear it. I know, I don't understand either. I get it. But really, that's just you not honoring your true feelings, your authentic intuition. You maybe didn't know, wanted to feel safe, whatever it is. You're now finding this deep sense of safety within yourself and with wherever it is that you're going next. And that has a sense of purpose, which I was going to, funnily enough, bring up, but we'll talk about it in the next part for sure, where we'll start with money and we'll start with the bottom of the deck, where you're not just finding, like, this isn't just happening. This is happening because there's a purpose that has been you've been noticing from time to time. You've been at checkpoints, but now you're deeply connecting to, and you are the bridge, but you have to rebuild it in order to see a different way, right? There's not just one bridge, people. It's multi-dimensional. So now the bridge is being, the channel is being purified, the bridge is being rebuilt. There's a different form here, and all of a sudden you're able to see what you couldn't. You're able to connect what you once couldn't. It was painful, but you didn't die, and you've done harder, and now you realize that you've done, a lot. Just done a lot. So ultimately, I think whatever's in your love life is a catalyst and helping you realize where the money and the self-worth go hand in hand. And it's Plutonian, it's judgment, it's extremely revealing. And I think, Libra, you need to do what you wish. You may not realize how graceful you handle it with yourself, because it's putting you in this position in your life where you've been graceful for plenty of other people. And now, especially if you've had to, or you've been in and had a significant enough time alone, or your work from home, or whatever it is, it's this very sacred time for this psychic shadow revealing what it reveals to your worth, the way, in whatever, this path to abundance, this path to a greater version of yourself, whatever it is that you are en route, whatever it is that your purpose, right? Your purpose is here. You're connecting to it. You're connecting to a different vision, different future, and it's through the vulnerability. It's through adding that into the bridge in a lot more areas than not. In fact, it's a layer, an entire layer that is to be protected. And your intuition is extremely powerful. And it's really important that you honor it, especially when it's extremely powerful, because it'll come through clearly like judgment. And if you don't listen, it'll come through someone else and it'll be like, okay, heard you. Let's go. Not like let's keep it moving, but like let's keep it moving, you know. Some of you may receive messages too from people in the past, or maybe some like past conversations. I don't want to like scare you. I don't think it's anything scary. It's Knight of Cup shit. So like either people who remind you of people from the past or literal people from the past. There's like a healing conversation, even if it's just you with yourself and healing this with yourself or with a professional. Your psyche is deeply being healed right now, and when you connect to your dreams, it doesn't feel so far anymore, and that is beautiful. Because somehow, no matter when you dream of them, it still feels like you're a kid dreaming and it's far away. And maybe it is it's far away, depending on your version of that. However, it's not. So we will dive a little deeper in the second part. All information to, again, work with me is below. Thank you for being here, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We will see you next month.